Happy New Year to you all. Welcome back to Churchill for your first full week back at school since the Christmas break. It's Mr. Hilcher here, head teacher with your assembly for this first full week back in January 2022. So I'm going to start the assembly by talking about the COVID measures that we've got in place, as you would expect. So, as you will have known from the letters that we've sent home and from the news, face coverings are now compulsory in all indoor areas unless you have an exemption card issued by the Academy, which has been requested by your parents or carers. So that means face coverings must be put on before you go through the door to an indoor area, before you enter a building, and it must remain on in classrooms as well until you get outside of the building, please. We know that's not very comfortable, we know it's not very convenient, but that is a measure that's in place in all schools across England to help prevent the spread of coronavirus. On testing, as you know, we did the testing in school last week, and that was very, very successful. And that means we can be confident that everyone who was in school last week, who was tested in the test centre, is negative for the virus. It's really important to maintain that level of protection, that you carry on with your twice weekly testing at home, and that you report the results of those tests both to the NHS and to the Academy online. We recommend that you test on Sunday evening and then again on Wednesday evening so that we can keep track and make sure that nobody is bringing the virus in without symptoms and not being aware that they're carrying it. The third measure is ventilation. So, as you know, fresh air is very, very important to help make sure that virus doesn't build up or any kind of infection doesn't build up in the air in school. That's obviously a bit more challenging now that we're in the depths of winter and it's so cold outside. I want to explain that members of staff are responsible for finding that balance between good ventilation and a comfortable working temperature. So they'll be opening windows to let fresh air in when their monitoring shows that it's necessary, and they'll be closing windows when it's too cold outside or inside for you to work properly. It's the member of staff who is in charge of that, not the students. So please work with the member of staff that is teaching you at the time to ensure that the rooms have a comfortable balance between good ventilation and an appropriate temperature for working. And finally, on vaccinations, the vaccinations rollout continues. Everybody who is aged 12 to 15 is now eligible to have a second dose of the vaccine, and that can be booked online. There are walk-in centres available as well as bookable appointments. We do understand that there will again be vaccinations in school for first and second doses, for those that haven't had your first dose yet or those that you need your second dose yet, but we don't know when those are going to be. So the most reliable way to ensure that you remain fully vaccinated is to ensure that you book your appointment using the out-of-school route or get a walk-in appointment. For students who are 16 and over, you're also entitled to your second dose or your booster if you're ready for those. And again, that can be booked online, or you can go to grabajab.net, which shows you where there is walk-in availability for vaccinations. So that's enough about coronavirus. I want to focus my assembly today on learning and on the important business of you making progress in your studies now that we're all back in school, tested and ready to go. So as you know, these are the things that we believe in the value of to help you learn effectively. I've talked to you about these before in our in-person assemblies in September, and I know repeatedly they're on the screens around the school, and hopefully you've seen these 6 really important values around the place. So, determined and consistent effort, a hunger to learn new things, challenging ourselves to go beyond our comfort zone, viewing setbacks and mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow, seeking and responding to feedback, and encouraging others to succeed. These are the things that we know help you to make the most progress in your learning. Now, we assess these things using your effort grades that we give you on your reports throughout the school year. And as you know, parents' evenings for some year groups are coming up over the course of this term and more in the next term as well. We'll be making comments about your effort and your application in school. So I wanted to remind you of what the teachers are using to look at effort when they're grading you in your reports. So these are the descriptors that your teachers are looking for a student who is making good effort. Now, good effort is the effort that we expect of all students. It's kind of minimum standard that we expect. So anything less than this, we would grade as being insufficient or poor. So that means not enough. So this is the minimum expectation that we have of all students in all lessons all of the time. It means being a responsible and hard-working student who tries their best all of the time. We're expecting all of you to show a good interest in your learning and to be attentive and focused. We're expecting you to respond well to feedback and targets and to complete your work to the expected standard. We're expecting you to show determination and willingness to persevere when things are difficult. We're expecting you to take responsibility for your work and to be well organised. That might mean things like getting your homework in on time, making sure you're on time and to lessons with all the correct equipment, making sure you know where you're going and that you're in the right place at the right time. And willingly doing all that is asked of you and sometimes more. So that's the minimum expectation that we have of students, and if you are able to show those behaviours across your lessons over a long period of time, then you'll be graded as good for effort. The very top grades for effort, as you know, is excellent, and this is for students who really go above and beyond. So it means being committed to getting the most out of all learning opportunities available, and it's what every student should aim for. So to be graded as having excellent effort, you need to show excellent participation in your lesson at all times and full engagement. You need to actively seek and respond to feedback on how to improve the quality of your work and show great determination and see setbacks and mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. You need to make sure that you're managing your time and work efficiently and that you're an excellent role model who is highly disciplined in your learning. You need to use your initiative in a range of situations without always having to be told what to do. So this is kind of independent approach to learning that we really think is important, and show dedication and enthusiasm for learning at all times. So you would expect us to be talking about these effort grades as being really, really important. But what I want you to do today was spend a little bit of time showing you why this makes a difference. Now, we haven't had exams for a couple of years now, what with the coronavirus disruption. When we did have exams, we were very careful to track the progress that students made in their GCSEs at the end of year 11 and track that against the effort that the students have been graded at throughout their time at school. So on this graph here, we've plotted on the left-hand axis here, just over on this side, we've plotted the GCSE progress score against the national average. So on that vertical axis there, a score of 1 means that a student scored 1 grade higher than students with a similar kind of profile to them across the country. So they got an average of 1 grade higher across their GCSEs compared to students who had similar data to them coming into secondary education. And a score of -1, as you might expect down here, shows that they got 1 grade lower than the national average for students who had similar data to them. Now across the horizontal axis, going this way, we plotted the average effort grades or attitude to learning grades of students across, in this case, across years 9 to 11. And what we found was that there was a really strong kind of link, a strong correlation, which is shown by this dotted line here, between the average effort grade of students across years 9 to 11 and the progress that they made at the end of year 11 in their GCSEs. So this isn't about how high their grades were. It isn't about getting all grade 9s or all grade 5s or all grade 4s. This is about the progress that they made compared to similar students nationally. So how much better did they do than the students with similar prior attainment or similar data to them across the country? So what we see is that the dotted line crosses the effort line at about 75%. So that means that students with an effort score of around 75% were far more likely to make better progress than similar students nationally. So you can see here there's very, very few students in this area here who are not making very much effort who then went on to make very good progress. But there is a large number of students in this area here who were making a lot of effort who did go on to make good progress. Now, it's not a guarantee. And some students who tried their very hardest still didn't make the expected progress, and that can be for obviously a whole range of reasons. What it does show is that making effort, putting the effort into your learning, gives you a much better chance of making better progress than students who are very similar to you nationally. I want to show you a bit more about that by looking at 2 specific students in more detail. So these are real students from Churchill Academy in Sixth Form from the last time that we had GCSE exams back in 2019. And student A here, you can see, started year 9 with really quite low effort grades. So they were around 62s, and then they were improving to 67. But what you can see over the course of year 9, year 10, and then into year 11 is that this student really pushed themselves to improve the effort they were putting into their learning. So you can see by the beginning of year 10, they were up here at 75%. That's the kind of magic number, and then pushing up into the 80s by the end of year 10. Now, it's fair to say they had a little blip in the middle of year 11 where their effort declined, but they then pulled that back again to 86% by the end of year 11. So that's a really significant improvement in effort across the 3 years. And that student ended up with a progress score of plus 1.31. That means that they scored, on average, 1.3 grades higher than similar students would have done nationally. And that's a direct kind of result of the increased effort they put in. Now, student B started year 9 really putting some good effort in, 83, 88%, roughly where student A finished year 11. But what you will see is that student B tells the opposite story. So over year 10, you can see those effort grades declining and then sort of slipping away again down to 70% by the end of year 11. So this is a student who kind of took their foot off the gas and didn't continue to make the effort that they were making earlier on in their school career. And by the end of year 11, this student ended up scoring 1.5 grades lower than similar students nationally. So you know that teachers are going to tell you to try hard. You would expect that, wouldn't you? You'd expect teachers to tell you to put effort into your studies. But what I hope I've been able to show you here today is that we're not just telling you that because we feel like it. We're telling you that because we know from the data that we've got that students who put effort into their learning go on to make better progress than students who make less effort. I also wanted to show you in this assembly that if you're one of those students at the moment who you know you're not putting enough effort into your work, to show you, as in case study A, that if you change that, if you push yourself and you continue to put that effort in, then you will obviously stand a really good chance of improving the progress that you make by the end of year 11. And similarly, if you're making really good progress now and you're putting all your effort into your learning at the moment, is to encourage you to keep that focus on and make sure you don't let it slip, because the effort that you put into your learning is the best possible way of ensuring that you do really, really well in your studies and that you make good progress and you get good results at the end of school. So I'm just leaving this slide up here. You can see the descriptors there. These are the things we're expecting to see of you in your lessons. These are the things that your teachers will be grading you on. These are the things your teachers will be rewarding you for. And we're doing that not just because we feel like it, but because it makes a big, big difference to the outcomes that you will achieve at the end of your studies in your GCSE and then as you go on to your A-level exams in the Sixth Form. Thanks so much for listening. I look forward to seeing that effort in your classrooms as I visit you over the next few weeks. All the very best for the week ahead. Many thanks and goodbye.